That same Saturday, they attacked Ahume at that settlement area. 6 people were killed, including the police officer.
The Middlebelt must learn to be a better host for them to enjoy a considerable amount of peace with coexisting with the Fulanis. These are the statements of Atiku as submitted by Patrick Anom, a very well-known influencer in the Middlebelt. Yesterday I made a program about the North, asking Epitobi to go into an agreement. And quickly, I want to appeal to my subscribers. I am not in any way attacking Obi. And I want all my subscribers to please, when you listen to me, please, I want you to have your emotions in check. I am not in any way blackmailing Epitobi. I am not in any way trying to make Epitobi look like a weakling. No. I am only here to state the obvious. Now we have the Middlebelters who claims that they voted vehemently for Epitobi in 2023, that him going to a coalition with the North, they have no issue with that. But for him to go into coalition with an Elrufai, they call Elrufai in the Middlebelt a name that is unmentionable. They call him the butcher. You know, I took my time to dig that why at the Middlebelt, or is it just this guy, Patrick Anom, who has this bias? You know, I haven't taken my time to do this survey. I found out that the majority of the Middlebelt Christians are not finding it easy that a ticket that Epitobi would be on, and he is having an Elrufai by his side. But it stands today the favorite that might be the, you know, is vice come 2027, as far as we are concerned, is Elrufai. If you look at the permutation, because an Elrufai would like to take that position in the future, come 2031, he would like to also come out as a presidential candidate of that coalition, whether they win or they lose. I mean, that is his own political probability and, of course, calculation. And now the Middlebelters are asking Obi that, Obi, we love you, we supported you, that in fact, no matter what people want to say about Benue today, that Benue state government was the one that sent you a letter of no persona non grata, that you are not welcome, that the Middlebelters, the Benue people, over 308,000 people voted for you, which is even more than Ebonyi, a little bit less than Imo, that they voted for you. They stood in the sun because they believed in your cause. They believe that you can change the country. However, running outside with a man that they are not comfortable with, a man that they have watched and noticed how he tried to defend the jihadists, tried to speak in their favor, that they will not compromise their own safety because an Elrufai cannot be trusted. I mean, these are the words of the Middlebelt, and at this stage, it seems there are too many orders for this young man, the Epitobi. But my mother told me something, that thing that will be very, very good, that will be something that you will call a great achievement, will never come easy without having some huge obstacles and hurdles. In the way of Obi's to presidency, there are so many obstacles. The one, the northern oligarchs reeling out conditions. Two, the Middlebelt also giving him a condition that, Oga, even if you want to run, don't run with an Elrufai. But if we want to take our time to look at who are the northern elites, the politicians that can actually shake the wave, the tension, the polity, the temperature of the north, who are the people that can speak the language to the northern children, the northern youth, where they will begin to have that hate and vote against a person like Tinubu? It is the Elrufai. You know, I am taking my time to study why should this thing that these Middlebelts are saying, why are they not saying that they are trying in disguise to work for Tinubu? Elrufai did the same for the Tinubu, but at the end of the day, actually kicked him out. Now, who told them that a Peter Obi cannot get into that position of presidency? Because he will be the CNC, he will be the one in charge of the Nigerian army. And of course, he can't do everything to turn an Elrufai to a ghost worker, just as Tinubu has done to Shettima. So why are they so particular? Why are they scared? Why are they trying to look for issues or create issues where there are non-issues at all? Why is this aid for an Elrufai? Are they not seeing that the aid that they have for Elrufai is trying to become an impediment to the success of a Peter Obi? Because for me, I don't see a Peter Obi going into this election, if he truly wants to win, if he doesn't have the support of an Elrufai. Because for me, I know that Elrufai is the next Buhari of the North. According to my palpitation, political lenses, taking my time, I have seen how an Elrufai behaves. Elrufai is way closer to Buhari than any politician. Elrufai seems to be the perfect guy that will inherit the court followerships of a Buhari. You might have to have that inner eye and clarity, but what you should see is it is that, that closeness, that proximity that he has with Buhari. That is why he feels he can sometimes challenge a Buhari, because he understands the language Buhari understands, because he knows how to actually convince and speak to a Buhari, and the Buharis themselves have come out in several occasions to push their support behind an Elrufai. Let me tell you, so many CPC factions left APC when Elrufai decamped to SDP. When it decamped to SDP, so many CPC factions, so many people said that they are now with Elrufai. What does that tell you? This is a man who has not even declared any form of interest in any presidential role. Now, imagine when he does. Imagine when he now decides and agrees to work with a Peter Obi. I am telling you, this guy has the capacity, he has the potentiality, he has the intelligence to convince his people to vote against him. So if the middle belt are complaining that Tinubu is suffocating them, that secondly, that they need a Peter Obi on the seat of power, as the data shows that they voted for him overwhelmingly in Plateau. Even in Benue, they voted for him because Anobi got a significant amount of vote. I think Tinubu just won Benue with just a little bit, about 10,000 to 20,000 votes. So yes, they must begin to see that an Elrufai at this stage, yes, it might be their enemy, but in this time, an enemy that should be used to defeat a greater enemy is their friend. Another quote was made by one of them. They said, in a container or in a cup, if you have the cup filled 95% and then you had just 5% of poison, then that water becomes poison, contaminated. Agreed. I agree. But that poison is used and is to be fed to Tinubu. It's as simple as that. Right? So what we are creating, what we are fighting for, is a ticket that will kick out this man who is about to borrow the future of Nigerians. Tinubu is about to borrow 25 point something billion dollars. This is a man who, just some days ago, his minions were celebrating him that he cleared the debt of maybe $4 billion. And in just less than a month, this man has passed a bill to the Senate, to his rubber stamp Senate, Akpabio, that he wants to collect 26 point something billion dollars. And the middle belt are not saying this, they are still clamoring for Elrufai not to run side by side with Peter Obi. Do they want a situation whereby a Tinubu will continue to remain there and we are impoverished collectively? Or as the appointment Tinubu has made in the Middle Belt, in what way has it benefited the Middle Belters? While I am not unaware that Tinubu is doing everything to bring in the dichotomy in the north, trying to bring that divide that the Middle Belt should be different from the core north, whereby he has made some federal inroads, creating some federal government institutions, giving appointments to the people of the Middle Belt, most especially in Kogi, in Benue, doing all these things. Yes, it is clear that a Tinubu is trying to bring that divide. A Tinubu under his administration wants the Middle Belt to have a voice. We see, but we know that a Tinubu will not do anything for the greater good. Everything is done is for his own selfish interests and political gains. Those are the things that Tinubu does. A Tinubu who is a man that will come out and tell you he's donating money for you, but at the end of the day, he's donating that money so that he can buy your conscience. That is the kind of person he is. And I want to also call the attention of the Middle Belters to something. When they were creating the development commissions, it was the same Peter Obi that you guys are trying to tell me now that he doesn't want the interest of the Middle Belt, that called Tinubu to order and told him that we cannot have a Southeast Developmental Commission, we cannot have a Southwest Developmental Commission, we cannot have a Northeast and a Northwest and South. Why would you leave out the North Central? Why on earth should you leave out the North Central? And for that singular call to action that Peter Obi made, we saw that in just a couple of days, even when the likes of Bayo Onanuga tried to defend nonsense, they actually eventually agree and say, oh, it's a mistake. And then they created the North Central Development Commission. What does this tell you? It simply tells you that Peter Obi has the interest of the Middle Belters. If you watch the interviews of Peter Obi will tell you, he will most of the time refer to Middle Belt as the food basket, as the pathway to success for Nigeria out of impoverishment. All Peter Obi's speeches is always about Middle Belt, Benue, Niger having a greater large mass, like even over Netherlands. You will see him talking about Middle Belt more before he talks about Maiduguri, before he talks about Kano State. So this notion, this propaganda of Tinubu that is catching up with the Middle Belt, whereby they've talked against Elrufai. I am not saying Elrufai is a saint, though. Please get me right. I am not in any way telling you that Elrufai is not a saint. Nobody has said that. Even Elrufai has never said he's a saint. I'm not going to come here and start defending the indefensible. But what I know is an Elrufai has the capacity to unseat Tinubu if he runs behind the Peter Obi. I agree. Yes. And we must know that there is no man on earth that is perfect. Tinubu, we know how horrible he is. But I tell you, an Elrufai is better than a Tinubu. I tell you that a Peter Obi is 100 times better than the Tinubu. So why should you try to use your own hands, right, to block a sure pathway that will emancipate the Middle Belters right there in the north? I know that Peter Obi has the capacity to fight insecurity. I have taken my time to study how he fought the kidnapping kingpins, the drug barons in Anambra while he was a state governor. I've taken my time to do that. I've taken my time to see how he fought some agitators who were trying to bring Anambra down to his knees. This is a man who might become ruthless. So when the Middle Belters are saying that, an Elrufai will make a Peter Obi, no. We must begin to put aside our emotions in politics. While the statements of Atiku is very terrible, we are campaigning that Atiku must go and sit down. We are saying that Atiku must go and sit down. We are campaigning that Atiku should just be the elder statesman, push the support behind Obi. Obi is the right man for the job. Obi must complete this turn of the South. It is clear. And I know that if the North at this stage, regardless of all the terms and conditions that they are giving Obi, if they still decide to betray Obi just as they betray Wike in the PDP primaries, I am sure Peter Obi will, of course, support the Southern agenda against the North.
River Kaduna divides us. In the south, you have Christians and non-indigens. In the north, you have mostly Muslims and Hausa-speaking northerners. And it's very unhealthy. And the industries are in the south. Okay, and these repeated cycles of religious and ethnic violence, are part of what contributed to destroying Kaduna. That is one. The second, of course, is which is a more recent one, is the challenge of cattle rustling and what came after it. I think cattle rustling has its roots in the post-2011 election violence. Okay, Kaduna lost about 800 lives during the post-election violence. It was the worst in the country. It didn't get as much media attention as it should, but many lives were lost, particularly in southern Kaduna. Now that led to two things. First, many of the Fulanis that were killed or displaced during the period now lost their cattle and turned to cattle rustling. Second, we had a series of reprisal killings happening over and over in southern Kaduna. This is what we found. In fact, I was sworn in on Friday, 29th May. That evening, there were killings in Sanga local government in southern Kaduna. So my first assignment as governor was to call a security council meeting on Saturday to address it. We've been trying to address all those issues. The killings in southern Kaduna have more or less stopped, thanks to the intervention of a committee we set up under the leadership of General Agwai, former Chief of Defense Staff. He did a very good job of going around and really tracing the root of these killings, and found that most of those that come in to do these killings are from other African countries, Cameroon, Chad, Mali, Senegal, because this happened in April. And these cattle rearers had come from these countries and were going back because they moved across the West Africa sub-region. They came in just as they were going back with their cattle. This problem happened. If you remember the elections of April 2011, and they were just victims that were passing through. And of course, the Fulanis have this long memory of revenging any killings. So their relations were coming from other countries to revenge. So we had to reach out to some of those communities outside Nigeria and say to them, look, this cannot continue. Let us sit and settle. We can pay compensation, we can do anything, but there is no sense coming and wiping out an entire village just because something happened 5 years ago.
Are you getting some results?
We are. Killings in southern Kaduna have stopped. There has been no killings in the last 6 months. Since Agwai's committee did that job and reached out to these people and talked to them and said, there is a new governor, we can talk, we can give you compensation for your lost cattle and so on. So we made progress there. So southern Kaduna is quiet. I'm very happy about that. The cattle rustling was mostly happening here in northern and central Kaduna, Benongwari, Giwa, Chikun, and so on. And what we did there was to ask the governors of the neighboring states, because there is a forest reserve, Kamuku Kuyambana, that straddles about 5 or 6 states, Niger, Kaduna, Kebbi, and Sokoto, where these cattle rustlers use as refuge. So we agreed amongst the governors to fund a joint military operation to flush them out. And we've recovered so far more than 30,000 heads of cattle. Many of the rustlers have been killed, and so on. Now, what is unique about both phenomenon that we found in Kaduna, that all the cattle rustlers we have found so far, either killed or arrested, are Fulanis. They are young Fulanis, 18 to 30 years of age. They are armed, and most of them will say that they had to go into this business because they lost their cattle during the 2011 crisis.
The aftermath of this weekend's worrisome attack on some communities of Gwer West is still unfolding, leaving the council chairman Victor Omi and other residents completely helpless.
What is the meaning of this? Look at a child of 2 years old, butchered with cutlass. How many people? We're talking of not less than 20 people that were killed in our village. This is the village of the former first lady of this state. This is the village of the Togwe. This is the village of the bishop, Bishop Banagbe.
He blames the security operatives for being non-responsive. However, the police public relations officer, Sewese Anene, simply texted. The police responded when the case of Ondana was reported, and 3 bodies were recovered. An investigation is ongoing, adding that a policeman died defending one of the villages just a few hours before this incident in Gwea West Local Council.
The mandate to engage these people, that it is only the federal government that can give them the mandate to engage these people. So my people should be killed, my people should die all before government will talk about this. What is the meaning of this? Yesterday I buried 5 people, a father and 2 of his sons of over 40-50 years in Teobian, very close to a military base. What is the meaning of this? If they cannot help me, maybe I'll leave this position as chairman and let it continue the way it is.
Advent of Operation Wise Stroke in January 2018 to 14th May 2025, 7 years and few months, we lost 430 of our people as victims of insurgency. Conversely, we lost more of our people when we had the protection of the military personnel more than the period we were cloaked under Penal Code Section 59 and 60. When you look at this analysis, it's obvious that a victim will prefer the police than otherwise.
On Saturday, they attacked Obian village and killed 5 people, got so many injured. They are now at the various hospitals in Naka and Makudi. And there is a military base at that particular place, very close to Naka. It was about 2 kilometers away from Naka town. That same Saturday, they attacked Ahume at that settlement area. 6 people were killed, including the police officer. On Sunday, they launched attack on Ondana town and killed 12 people and cut away with so many people, and many people are injured. So I don't know the kind of protection that they are providing to our people.
Although